Stupid stuff bought by billionaires. If you're stupid rich, you're probably smart with money. If a billionaire wants to buy a floating fortress, you know he's getting the best floating fortress guy to get the best floating fortress deal, and then have his floating fortress accountants write it all off as a floating business expense. But some crazy millionaires really are just crazy, throwing away orphanage-saving amounts of money on the dumbest, most useless shit you could imagine. Stuff like, welcome to luxury life. Subscribe now so you never miss out on any of the latest trendy news and fresh off-the-press educational videos that you can take advantage of. Let's get into the video. A mob boss bought a minor league hockey team for his teenage son. 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞 was a mobster from Danbury, Connecticut, who ran a multi-million-dollar garbage truck empire. He was like a real-life Tony Soprano. Hell, he even had a son named AJ, except we don't remember an episode wherein Tony bought AJ a sports team just so he wouldn't feel like a massive failure. In high school, 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞 was your typical teenager who loved playing hockey, but then he wrecked his knee during senior year and dashed his dreams of ever going pro. Jimmy figured that the only way for his kid to still live the dream was by coaching and managing a real professional hockey team. In the span of a few days, 𝐤𝐤𝐞 purchased a minor league hockey team franchise, named it the Trashers, and moved them to his town's rinky-dink ice rink. AJ, a 17-year-old, was named general manager and had to have his first press call while ducking teachers during free period. And like any spoiled rich kid, when it came time to fill out the roster, AJ hired the most expensive players he could find willing to play in minor league hockey. His number one pick, Brent Gretzky, brother to Wayne. The only way a no-name hockey league could get royalty, like the worst Gretzky, was to pay them a king's ransom. Gretzky's salary was $100,000, almost half of the team's capped league budget. So in order to get around the silly fair play cap, Jenny did what any mobster would do and started cooking the books. Players and their families would get paid through fake no-show jobs in his waste management companies, allowing for them to spend about $750,000 a year on bruisers. 𝐤𝐤𝐞 then went on to spend another $3 million renovating the Danbury Hockey Stadium, even though it could only seat 3,000 people. The owner of the Dodgers, but the dream went up in smoke when the FBI finally raided 𝐤𝐤𝐞's offices. As one of 𝐤𝐤𝐞's assets, the Danbury Thrashers were seized and disbanded after only 2 glorious, excessively violent, thoroughly debauched seasons. Paid a Soviet wizard to send them winning vibes. In Los Angeles, when you're middle class and sick, you get a doctor. When you're poor and sick, you get a doctor who got his degree from a correspondence college. But when you're rich and sick, you get a doctor. Someone who will prescribe you unlimited Xanax, no questions asked, while also thoroughly cleaning your chakras. What is generally not done is further asking that doctor to fix the entire starting bench of your Major League Baseball team. When Jamie McCourt, one of the owners of the Dodgers, had an eye infection, she did what all rich people do and got a doctor. Vladimir Sfunt was an aging former Soviet scientist with magical powers. In the 1980s, Sfunt started believing he could emit healing V energy, which positively influences people over great distances. In fact, that's how he healed McCourt's eye infection. From the other side of the US, he sent her positive thoughts. And then, as if by magic, her eye stopped being infected. Take that, traditional medicine, which she also used. After witnessing such indisputable proof of the divine, McCourt and her ex-husband Frank decided that this V-wizard was what their baseball team needed. So they hired Sfunt, paying him hundreds of thousands of dollars to simply watch Dodgers games on the TV and think positive thoughts. But that makes his job seem silly and unimportant, which it definitely wasn't. After all, it was Sfunt who made the Dodgers win the National League West Championship. evident by the McCourt's congratulations email with a special thank you to Vlad for all of his hard work. And when they then tanked the next season, it was Funt who diagnosed the disconnects between the coach and the manager and got them both fired. Jamie also had him treat outfielder Jason Wirth's broken wrist, both in person and from his gym jams at home in Boston. It went so well that Wirth had to go find a real doctor on his own and missed the entire season. Funt was kept on with the team until 2008 when he quit himself, probably because things were getting too weird even for him. After the news came out that McCourt had employed a legit crazy person, she was kicked off the Dodgers board and had to leave the country in disgrace, by which we mean she was appointed its new CEO and later was made ambassador to both France and Monaco by President Trump. Like we said, it's different for rich people. The owner of Domino's Pizza built a swamp town to save wayward souls. Domino's owner Tom Monaghan took on a struggling pizza parlor and turned it into the fine, if nothing else's open empire we know today. But as a devout Christian, his true calling was never delivering his customers pizza, but to deliver them from evil. So he used all of his cheese wealth to build a new Garden of Eden, a planned community in Florida. Monaghan had been dirt poor when growing up, so when he finally became rich, he vowed to enjoy his wealth to the max. He loved cars, so he bought the most expensive ones on the planet. He loved architecture, so he bought almost everything Frank Lloyd Wright ever made. He loved the Detroit Tigers, so he bought them too. But eventually, Monaghan decided that what he really loved was getting into heaven. So he made a vow of poverty and sold off all his assets one by one, using it all to save as many souls as he could here on earth. With his $250 million foundation, he started Ave Maria, the first ever gated community devoted to the Lord instead of HOA rules. Founded in 2005 and located at the edge of the divine Corkscrew Swamp in southern Florida, the town was built to house Ave Maria University, where every study is Bible study and is centered around the Ave Maria Church, which in the typical Floridian style is the one-eyed snake of Catholic churches. And because this is still definitely a gated community for old rich people, it also boasts of a golf course where daily confessions are held. Tech giant Larry Ellison's yacht employs an overboard basketball retriever. Ball may be light, but the wealthy play the game differently than the rest of us. Oracle CEO and big-time billionaire Larry Ellison is a huge basketball fanatic, so big that he's even considered buying the Los Angeles Clippers, which is its own kind of charity work. But like any billionaire, Ellison is also a big fan of yachts and owns several, including the 10th largest in the world. So it didn't take long for this tech genius to figure out how to combine his two greatest pleasures in a wildly decadent way. That's right, not one but two of Ellison's yachts have entire basketball courts. When on his yachts, Ellison shoots hoops at least twice a day to relax, because nothing is more relaxing than playing basketball on a wet floor on a ship rocking back and forth. But it never can be said that Ellison is the wasteful type of massive yacht-owning billionaire. Firstly, the courts double as helipads. Secondly, Ellison has hired a personal gopher to sail in a small boat behind the yacht in order to retrieve any basketballs that get shot over the fence into Poseidon's backyard. Personal aquatic basketball retrieval captain. That has got to be the weirdest job description we've ever heard of. That's all for today's video. We hope you enjoyed this upload. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for even more great content just like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.